ability of Terence Crawford. He's a pound-for-pound best of this generation, arguably. But is he that crossover Wheaties box kind of superstar that can drive a promoter's card like it did the 80s with, let's say, Sugar Ray Leonard? Is he that kind of crossover star?
Absolutely not. Let me just I'm gonna be a buck, buck with it. If you pay attention to the ticket sales, they're not doing that hot.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Bad news. Terence Bud Crawford, that boy Bud. Israil Madrimov. It is fight week. They are fighting this week. And let's just say rumors abound that the tickets are not doing so great. They're not selling so well, which, if true, would add to the notion that Terence Crawford, his star power, is in question. To make that more messed up, you have a longtime Terence Crawford supporter, a fighter who has always praised Terence Crawford. He's even sparred with him as Timothy Bradley. We got to listen to what he said. Hit the like button. Without further ado, roll the clip.
Tim, I got to ask you, is this a test, of course, of the crossover ability of Terence Crawford? He's a pound-for-pound best of this generation, arguably. But is he that crossover Wheaties box kind of superstar that can drive a promoter's card like it did the 80s with, let's say, Sugar Ray Leonard? Is he that kind of crossover star?
Absolutely not. Let me just I'm gonna be a buck, buck with it. If you pay attention to the ticket sales, they're not doing that hot. I was just in LA calling the Tresor fight. I asked a couple of guys there, that local promoters there, and they said, no, the tickets are not really selling out there because, although Terence is a tremendous fighter, he still haven't reached that superstardom just yet. Not just yet. Remember, the last time he fought was about a year ago. I don't think he took full advantage of that, what he was able to generate then. If he would have fought a little bit sooner, maybe he could have, maybe sold out this place. However, they got guys underneath them that's trying to help sell. I go back to the last few shows that we had, and we were talking about Pitbull Cruz, that he brings a lot of eyes, and he's the one that's selling. He can be selling this arena as well. You got Andrew Ruiz and other guys underneath as well, but still the tickets are not, they're not selling. They're just not are. It's nothing against Crawford. He's a East Coast guy or Midwest guy, coming out to the West Coast. But if you are a crossover superstar, you're able to sell anywhere. It doesn't matter where you go in the States. What could have helped is the location. LA, California, it's, a lot of promoters don't like to do business here in California. Everything is expensive. Taxes are extremely high. Why not do a fight like this or a card like this in Las Vegas? Now, the fans, that gives them incentive to want to go and be able to gamble. Hotels are a lot cheaper there in Vegas as well. You have the entertainment as well there down. It's so much more to do in Vegas, and fans will make a trip out of it and go watch a Terence Crawford fight. I remember seeing him when he fought against, it was Sean Porter. Sold out arena with Sean Porter. So yes, Crawford, he is a solid draw, but not here on the West Coast, man.
Wow. Now, I don't always agree with Tim Bradley. In fact, there's a lot that he says that I don't agree with. And when those issues arise or comments, I let you know. But I think right here, I got to be real. He sounds spot on.
Got to ask you, is this a test of...
They're asking, is Crawford a crossover star?
Of course, of the crossover ability of Terence Crawford. He's a pound-for-pound best.
And Tim Bradley says, absolutely not. Listen again.
Of this generation, arguably, but is he that crossover Wheaties box kind of superstar that can drive a promoter's card like it did the 80s with, let's say, Sugar Ray Leonard? Is he that kind of crossover star?
Absolutely not. I'm gonna be a buck with it. If you pay attention to the ticket sales, they're not doing that hot. I was just
So let's get unpacked. Listen, now is my turn to talk. So Terence Crawford can fight. There's nobody in the room, there's nobody that's gonna be watching this video that will probably suggest otherwise. But being able to fight is not the same as being able to market yourself and resonating with the public and things like that. Crawford also is not a boring fighter. I've seen Shakur Stevenson and he got the criticism for his performance. Crawford, that's not really his bag. He's always in fun fights and fun to watch. But here's the thing. Do I agree with Tim Bradley? Absolutely. Because I've heard some of the same things. I heard they're discounting tickets. Like, listen, I'm in the industry. I hear a lot. They got coupon codes and stuff that I've heard that they're trying to sell tickets still. And it's so funny what I do right here. What I do for boxing, in boxing, literally has never been done. The best in the business, and it's not even close. I don't even make it look close. I say these things and I'm always on the front lines. People say, oh, Ego, you're hating. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, don't get me wrong. I got a lot of support. So a lot of people, when I say it the first time, they just get it. They know Ego is a truth speaker. I'm almost a soothsayer in this sport of boxing. But there are some detractors, some haters, the usual suspects. And when I say something they don't like or that they don't want to hear, they say, oh, you hating. Oh, you're just a YouTuber. You don't know. You don't know the business. You've never liked Terence Crawford. I've covered more Crawford fights than most people that I've covered in general, right? Meaning the actual quantity. I've always liked Terence Crawford. And I'm talking about, I was at his fight with Ray Beltran in Omaha. I flew out for that. So it is what it is. A lot of people that I noticed, what I've noticed in this game is a lot of people, ultimately, they don't want to hear the truth. If you're not just singing someone's praises, like they want, let's say a yes man. They want you to be a yes man and everything is hunky-dory, peachy keen. I can only say what you want me to say about Terence Crawford or whoever the person is. But here on Boxing the Ego, that'll never happen. I'm never going to say what you want me to say because I'm not here for that. I earn my spot. People tune in to hear my thoughts on boxing and I give it to you. And it's so funny to me because it's a full circle moment when this stuff happens. And I've been here before, elite ego, top of my craft, best in the business, and it's not even close. When I put out the content, again, the few naysayers, they say stuff like, oh, you're hating on Crawford, blah, blah, blah. Now, life has caught up with the conversation. Questions are now arising. And you have somebody in Timothy Bradley where a lot of people, they have this issue where they don't like certain things a person will say, so they'll discount what a person's saying now. They say every dog has his day. A broke clock is right twice in the day. You know what I mean? So whether you like Tim Bradley or not, in his commentary style or not, let's talk about what he's saying right now. What's up with them ticket sales? Because I'll admit, me personally, I'm going to do a watch party for the fight. I like the card. I'm going to support the fight. I've made that known. But it kind of came quick. like a 1 minute man. It kind of came quick. No diddy. And the buzz is felt a little, like, not a little. I feel the buzz is felt soft. I don't see this like grandiose like energy. Like even when Tank Davis, when Gervonta was fighting Frank Martin, you could feel the fight week energy. We're literally, by the time you see this video, we're in fight week. And for Crawford-Madrimov, again, I'm not saying this from my perspective because I've watched much smaller cards than this, like Jose Ramirez and Francis Bartholomew. So of course I'm going to watch it. This is not about me, but I'm saying the energy surrounding. I haven't really seen too much like promotion. And the thing is, Turkey seems really invested. His Excellency seems real invested in Terence Crawford, and that's his guy. That's his pick. Good, so be it. That's cool. Crawford's going to get his bread, and I don't know how it is going to work, fully. I'm just being real, because Crawford throughout his career has been a great fighter. So that doesn't change here. But the question is, and this is what Tim Bradley was saying on Pro Box TV, and you guys can check out their full interview, is Terence Crawford a crossover star? And his own homie, Tim Bradley, is saying no, he's not a crossover star. And this is just going to be an uphill battle. Here's why. Crawford is 37 years old, so he's pushing 40. He's closer to 40 than he isn't. You can already see some gray hairs and stuff starting to sprout, right? And the talent has always been there. That's just the reality. He's always been a great fighter. But again, that's not the only, like, Crawford has more skill than Ryan Garcia, but no one would actually say, and I'm not going to break down some of the insanity that Ryan Garcia says, and because that has nothing to do with the point that I'm making. The point I'm making is Ryan Garcia at age 25, 26, he gets more impressions. He gets more views, period. I'm not saying like what Ryan's saying, like and support what he's doing. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just talking pure facts. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Ryan gets more views and more impressions than a 37-year-old Crawford. Again, the whole world of boxing understands that Crawford is the superior fighter. He's never been beaten. He has more fights. He looks hard as heck to beat, right? But this is what you guys aren't understanding. Like I've been saying, some guys just have it and some guys don't. And boxing is largely entertainment based as well as the competition. And then the great fighters like Floyd Mayweather that can have the skill set plus have the discipline plus actually, because you can have skills, you can have discipline, but then for whatever reason, nerves or fear or a lacking chin or whatever, not show up on fight night. But you guys see, it takes a lot to make the magic of that type of fighter. You have to have skills, because if you don't have skills, you're not going to be here that long, or you're going to keep taking losses and people aren't going to be, your stock's going to continue to drop. So skills is a must. Discipline, because there's a lot of talented guys in boxing, but we've seen people kind of mess up what they had going by lack of discipline, partying, doing drugs, drinking, getting out of shape, eating themselves out of divisions. We've seen it all in boxing. So I think discipline is important. So far, what do we have in this Unpacked? We have skills and we have discipline. There's more elements than just skills and discipline, because again, you can have those things and have talent, have discipline, where you're running your miles, doing the road work, blah, blah, blah. But then some people aren't good test takers. Like some people, they could study real hard and they can do book reports and essays, but they're not good test takers. For a boxer, the test is your fight night. You can look good in sparring. There's legendary sparring. There's some people in boxing, they're legendary when it comes to sparring. They look real good. They're massacring people, sending people home. But you got to also be able to do that with all the pressure, all the belts, all the cameras, camera crews, gaffers, an audience. You got to still perform. So that's 3 things. Crawford he shows up on fight night. He's disciplined and he has skills. But the thing that I believe that Crawford has lacked in his career are a few things. Upper echelon resume. I'm talking about the totality, right? Errol Spence, that's the best name on his resume to me. Crawford, when he's talking, he's always praising Ricky Burns. Listen, Ricky Burns, I don't know why Crawford has so much like adoration for Ricky Burns, but I can assure you the rest of the world is not viewing Ricky Burns how Crawford is viewing Ricky Burns. For some reason, anytime Crawford is asked about Ricky Burns, like he literally just told Eddie Hearns when they had that little on the field at the venue, the little back and forth. He literally told Eddie Hearns that, why you disrespecting, you're disrespectful. Ricky Burns is your best fighter. That's cap. Ricky Burns is not the best fighter that Eddie Hearns managed. And then Eddie Hearns said, what about Carl Froch? What about Carl Froch, right? Carl Froch is one of my favorites, the Cobra. Shout out to him. Carl Froch is way better than Ricky Burns. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Crawford, and it's not just Crawford. There's a lot of fighters that do this. When they share the ring with somebody, they almost want that person to have a great legacy and be successful if they beat that person, because it'll only enhance their victory over them. But the rest of the world is not looking at Ricky Burns as this amazing fighter. In fact, I've been here for it. I've been popping. Ricky Burns ducked Adrian Broner. Let's talk about that. The Can Man. Oh, man, you know, AB, algebra books, Archbishop, right? Let's talk about Prime Broner was ducked by Ricky Burns and he didn't want no smoke. So when we're talking about like resume, I think Crawford's the totality of his resume, probably per the decisions he's made, like to stay with Top Rank so long and different things like that. He didn't get to explore some of the top names. So, you know, he's like, oh, but I fought Ray Beltran. Ray Beltran's cool. Ricky Burns is cool. But to me, Errol Spence, like, you guys let me know if I'm tripping in the comment section. Y'all know I'm not tripping. Y'all know I know boxing. Y'all know I'm the king of this, the best in the business, and it's not even close. Tell me what's a better win. Terence Crawford at the time going to fight Ricky Byrne, a champion in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland, or Errol Spence at the time fighting Kell Brook, a champion at welterweight in Sheffield. To me, I think Kell Brook is a far superior Eddie Hearn, name that Eddie Hearn has dealt with. Kell Brook was a respected guy. He had beat Sean Porter. Excellent jab he showed. He was always like in dog shape. He was big. He was a big welterweight. He could hit, right? So he had some explosiveness. Came from Sheffield, that kind of Prince Nassim, type of gym. So, Kell Brook in his prime, that's a far better win. But you got Crawford who thinks his resume is like spotless. I don't think that, There's some middle of the road guys like, John Molina's and Ricky Burns and stuff, like guys you were supposed to beat. But let's get to the other stuff. Terence Crawford, the other issue is personality. His personality kind of flat. I'm not saying he's not a good dude, a good person, don't take care of his people and his family, but I'm just saying he's kind of flat, right? And he also seems begrudged against the media. He don't really want to speak and deal with media and things like that. I don't think this helps your career because, like I said, Floyd Mayweather is the gold standard. Floyd got, if you were going to create a player in boxing, you would want it to be like Floyd. Floyd is pretty much the gold standard. Chin, check. Skills, check. Offense, check. Defense, check. So he got hands, but he got defense. He got the mouthpiece and the gift of gab and the ability to sell. Like he can do a 24/7 and hype you up for the fight. He can get on there and do this world tour, press tour with Conor McGregor and hold his own on the mic with a great speaker like prime Conor McGregor, right? Crawford doesn't really have that. And again, I understand Turkey's backing him and likes him and for his skills and stuff like that. But the thing to think about here is now you have even Tim Bradley, who has always said positive things about Terence Crawford, from what I've seen. He insisted that Crawford would beat Errol Spence, and he never wavered. Credit to him. He was right. Bradley is cooking when he's saying that, you know, Crawford just isn't this crossover dude. Now, here's the thing, is no matter how much money Turkey and Riyadh Season or Eddie Hearn or whoever puts behind Crawford, he's still 37 with the career that he's had and some of these components missing. And it's going to be hard, in my opinion, to turn him over into this mega star at this space of his career. It's almost like a person being Crawford's age entering the NFL. They're looking at the younger guys, you know what I'm saying? Like when they do the combines and stuff, you get to a certain age. And the thing is, I'm not saying you can't be 40 and play in the NFL or 37 and play in the NFL. But the guys who are 37, 40 plus playing in the NFL, they're veterans. They've been playing in the NFL. You dig? Like same thing with NBA, right? You can have like some vets like Ray Allen, and you know, you need a shooter in the Miami Heat. But he's been a legend. He got game. He got game. You know what I mean? So Ray Allen is just a veteran. So he several seasons. Same thing LeBron. LeBron's that age, but he's been in the league 20 years, right? In boxing, you're trying to turn somebody who's 37, who's respected and skilled, but you're trying to now turn them into a star, and they just, for whatever reason, it hasn't resonated. So I don't know if that's really doable at this point. Case in point, because we unpacked, your boy Ego got to unpack. Terence Crawford, they literally put him at the top of this card, Crawford-Madrimov, with all the support in the world. And then the rumors are still that the tickets aren't selling so great. Just think about that. You got Gerald Big Baby Miller and Andy Ruiz. You got Cuban, David Morrell Jr., Cuban, Andy Cruz, right? You got El Rayo, Jose Valenzuela versus Pitbull, Eastside Pitbull Cruz. You have the main event, of course, Crawford-Madrimov. You had Virgil Ortiz, but he's not on the card anymore. But then you got Martin Bacoli and Jared Anderson. This is a stacked card. How is it not selling? And I told you guys that to put this in LA, and I'm not saying this to disrespect Crawford. I'm just being real like I always do on my channel. This card probably, to me, like I said, it would have made more sense to have Pitbull Cruz versus El Rayo as the main event in LA. You got a guy, you got Mexican-American, you got a guy from Mexico. And it's a guaranteed war. And Rayo's coming off probably career best win. His fight with Edwin De Los Santos was fun, but he lost it. So in terms of victories, he set the record straight with primetime Chris Colbert, and then he brutally knocked him out, one of the cleanest knockouts of last year. Pitbull Cruz just beat Rolly and became a champion. That should have been the main event. And I'm not saying it in no disrespectful way. I'm just being real with you. I truly believe that it should have been the main event, especially in LA. See, I'm from California. So I'm telling you, I know California politics. sometimes you gotta pop out and show Ninja. Certified Boogie, man, I'm the one to up this. I know my state. And Crawford's from the Midwest. He don't have no track record for selling out on the West Coast. And they thought they could just load up the card, but the main event. Then on top of that, some of the ticket prices don't really match. It's a good card, but it doesn't match the main event. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think Riyadh Season trying to push Crawford as the forefront actually hurt them. Like, this could have been, very well could have been Pitbull Cruz, El Rayo, and then you put Andy Ruiz, he's from Cali, right? And he's Mexican-American versus Gerald Miller. And then you could have really did Crawford-Madrimov as the third fight. Again, we're just talking about the business and branding, but they wanted to show Crawford the love and have him run the show. For example, I can break this down further because I know some people, they're not going to get it. They're going to be, oh, you're hating. I have no reason to hate on anybody. First of all, I'm Boxing Ego. Second, this will further illustrate my point. Imagine, let's take Crawford-Madrimov off of this card and put Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin as the top fight before it obviously it happened, but before it happened, when Frank Martin was undefeated, Tank is undefeated, you take that card and you put that main, instead of it being David Benavidez, it's David Morrell, Andy Cruz, Andy Ruiz, Gerald Miller, Jared Anderson, Pitbull, Rayo, and you give them all those people on a Saturday in LA, the fight would be sold. I guarantee you that card would have sold out because the main event is like that's the main draw. That's the top of the card. Although this is a very good card, your main event matters. You know what I mean? And I think they're trying to make Terence Crawford something he hasn't really been. And then, like, the other thing is, I personally think the Madrimov fight is a good fight. I respect Crawford, of course, and I respect Madrimov, but Madrimov himself is not really a known commodity and name. He's a champion, yes. And these are the things you got to think about when you're selecting the order of the card. Like, for example, as I just feel like as a promoter and an organizer of the event, you got to just do, like, if you're in it for boxing and the fans, then you got to do what's right. Like, for example, Gervonta Davis is the man right now. He was at the top of the card, and David Benavidez, who's his own main event. David Benavidez literally came off of back-to-back pay-per-views with Caleb Plant and then Demetrius Andrade. So David Benavidez is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Benavidez could have been big-headed and been like, nah, I ain't fighting on no co-main. But brilliantly, he put his pride to the side, put ego to the side, and was willing to work and be on someone like Tank Davis's co-feature. And I think that made it better because Tank is the face of boxing. Him fighting Frank Martin should be the main event. So I'm giving you guys a lesson in business. It's not really what you want. It's what makes the most business sense. And for me, Benavidez Vostok, no problem with the fight. But it wouldn't have made sense to put that as the main event and then have a guy like Tank Frank Martin as the co-feature. Tank been main eventing. He's done more pay-per-views. So you give that role to David Benavidez. And I strongly feel this for the Crawford-Madrimov. The fight that I truthfully want to see the most is Pitbull Cruz Rayo, because I know exactly what I'm expected to get, and I think they'll deliver it. And it's in LA. So you got La Raza, you got white people, black people, you know what I mean? It's about to be a melting pot. I know my state, right? So that's just my thoughts. I agree with Tim Bradley. You know, they're saying the tickets haven't sold. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that Terence Crawford again, he believes what he believes. He did that sit down with all the smoke and Andre Ward, and then Terence Crawford was talking about his numbers. And he was like, they say I can't do numbers, but my numbers are better. He said something to this effect. My numbers are better than all these other dudes. But then now the rumors are the tickets aren't selling, and it's a colossal card. So again, the main issues that I think are at play for these tickets and why the tickets are being stalled out and not selling, price point. You got to know how to structure the price point of the card, especially when you have the main event is Terence Crawford. This is not Omaha, you know? Even Tim Bradley said Vegas might have even been better. You put him in California. I don't even remember the last fight Terence Crawford ever had in California, to be honest. So again, I just feel like they're pushing Crawford because he's an excellent fighter. So they just assuming that, oh, because he's on the pound for pound list in the top 3, that's going to correlate and translate. And this is what I've been telling you guys from the beginning. And y'all said I was hating. There's no reason that Crawford, who has been relevant since the Gamboa fight, I believe in 2014, is the main event. And this doesn't have more buzz. And it's a stacked card. Because again, to prove my point, if Gervonta Davis was fighting Frank Martin or whoever as the main event and it had the same undercard, that the sales would be bananas. It would just be too strong. But they're trying to, in essence, kind of force feed you into Crawford being a star. When Bob Arum, whether you like him or you don't like the way he says stuff or whatever, I think Bob Arum was being truthful when Crawford finally left, or even maybe a little bit before he left Top Rank, and he was saying what he was saying about Crawford. He was like, Terence Crawford, he's a great fighter, but he can't sell. I could have bought a house in Malibu with the money I lost on Terence Crawford. Right? This is what he said. He said, every single time Crawford would fight, I lose money. I lose money when Crawford fights. And now Bob Arum, he don't look so crazy. Look, here it is. Boom. Bob Arum on Terence Crawford, we lost money on every fight. So to me, Bob don't look so crazy with what he said about Terence Crawford. Because now the rumor is tickets are moving slow. And it's sad because it is a good card, but that's the public speaking. People speak with their wallets. There's no reason, there's no one who's a star that can have, like, here's the thing. We'll take Gervonta Davis, because I know some of y'all get sensitive when I bring up Gervonta Tank Davis. So let's take him out the equation. We'll say Canelo Alvarez. Same thing goes. If you put Canelo Alvarez in LA and then the co-feature is Pitbull Cruz versus Jose El Rayo Valenzuela with Andy Ruiz and Big Baby Miller, and you have the same exact David Morrell, all these dudes that is on the card, Jared Anderson, give this same card to Gervonta Davis or Canelo Alvarez. In this case, in this example, Canelo Alvarez, the tickets would move crazy. Trust me. Canelo resides in San Diego, so you got a gym out there. He's still big enough and popular enough, right? The card with either Tank or Canelo Alvarez, when you get an actual star, is doing numbers, period. There's no slow tickets and stuff. And that's what's happening in boxing. You see people are organizing these fights and they're overshooting it. Like Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Golden Boy charging crazy ticket prices because you're overestimating the value and the public demand of the fight and how much people are willing to pay for the fight. And I think that's exactly what's going on here. And like for Crawford, is nothing. When I say what I say, it's never nothing personal. It's always business. Nino Brown style. It's always business. And that's just the reality of his career's played out how it is. He's made decisions he's made. He's where he's at. And you can try to make it something it's not. But again, the tickets should be flying off the shelf, given the depth of this card. And Tim Bradley himself, who's always supportive and always supported Crawford, he's saying that he's hearing that the tickets ain't moving like that. So, it is what it is. We unpacked.